Hello, my name's Colin Winberg and this is my wife Tracy. When I was first told about the work that Terry did, I was extremely sceptical. And the reason why was because of the fact that I'd had chronic fatigue roughly around 10 years before. And I'd spent over $13,000 going to all these different people and it didn't make any difference. There was no difference in the result. So I was very, very sceptical. Even though there was a couple of people who I really respected who referred me to Terry. Now, Terry was in Perth and I was in Melbourne. And I was going over to Perth on business and I thought, well, I'll give it one more shot. And the reason why was because I was in an extremely bad way. We'd lost our daughter about 8 or 9 months previously, and 6 months before that we'd lost a close friend of my daughter's who died from a car accident out the front of our house, which I attended. So I'd had a couple of traumas very, very close together, and I was pretty close to the bottom of the barrel. Losing a child was one of the worst things I've ever experienced, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So when I was going across to Perth, I thought I'd make the time to see Terry. And I was certainly glad that I did. It was one of the better things I've ever done in my life. And up until then, I'd seen many professionals, being either psychiatrists or psychologists. And what they always used to tell me was, there's no quick fix. Colin, you're always after a quick fix, and there's no such thing as a quick fix. Well, I found that to be untrue. And the reason why was because I spent probably an hour to an hour and a half with Terry, and I was fixed. Okay, I did have a couple of sessions more after that on things I want to fix up, but my initial overwhelming grief about losing my daughter was gone after an hour to an hour and a half with Terry. And that was phenomenal because of the fact that before that, as I said, I was very close to the bottom of the barrel with that. When I say that, I was watching a film and someone died in the film. It was an action film, people always die in that, and yet I started to cry because I brought it back to losing my daughter. When I left Terry that night, everything was in perspective. I had sadness about losing my daughter, but I didn't have the overwhelming grief that I had ever since my daughter had died. And to me, no matter what that had cost, it was worth it because that was sapping everything out of my life. Now, since then, I've spoken to a few friends who have lost children, and they all give me the same result, the fact that once a child's gone, the overwhelming grief is just horrific for them. Now, when I first heard how much the investment was for Terry's services, I flinched a little bit because I'd spent a lot of money in the past. But then I realised it was only equivalent to a couple of sessions with a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and they didn't even bear results. You normally have to see them for at least 10 times before they can tell you they can do something or they can't. So we've referred quite a few people to Terry, and the only reason I do that is because of the belief I have in what she does. She certainly helps everybody. I've referred to her, and the fact is we got her to fly from Perth across to Melbourne to do the rest of my family because that's how much I believed in what she did. And Tracy, being obviously the mother of my daughter, she was extremely grief-stricken, and she was in a terribly bad way about the loss of Stephanie. So I'll just pass you over to Tracy and she can say a few words.
Just to let you know a little bit about where I was at before Terry did come over. Losing my daughter Steph was the hardest thing that I have ever gone through. She was not only my daughter, but she was like my best friend. We did so much together, and I felt like my whole world had fallen out from underneath me. I didn't think that I'd ever be able to be happy again. I was just existing from day to day. I wasn't enjoying life, and there were times when I didn't want to be here. And the only thing that kept me here was Colin and my kids. But that feeling of loneliness, of the overwhelming pain and sadness, and of not wanting to be here really scared me a lot. And so I tried to do everything to not go into that place again. I was seeing a psychologist every week, and for the past 8 or 9 months, she had been trying to get the relationship back with Steph, and not just think about, when I thought of her, the pain, the sadness and the loss, but to think about the happy memories and that I had with her when she was alive. In that 8 or 9 months, we hadn't achieved that at all. Every time I thought of Steph, I just welled up with tears, and the pain was always there. After having one session with Terry, I think went for an hour and a half. As soon as I finished that session, I just had this overwhelming, warm, fuzzy feeling, and every time I thought of Steph, I just couldn't stop smiling. And the overwhelming pain had gone. Of course, the sadness of losing her, is there, but it's no longer overwhelming or pain. When I do think of her now, I feel really happy inside. I'm smiling all the time, and the overwhelming grief. It's just amazing. We had mentioned it to another couple who lost their son 5 years ago, and they had quite a few sessions with Terry over the weekend. We got together with them, and Jeanette was saying to me that every time she mentioned her son Andrew's name, she would be in tears. That afternoon we sat there talking about Andrew and Stephanie. We were laughing, we were smiling, and we just felt as if we were connected with our children again, the warm feeling and the happiness that our children were still with us. It was just unbelievable. I strongly recommend to anybody who is going through a difficult time or a loss of a child to not even hesitate, because you've got nothing to lose. If the program doesn't work for you, you've got nothing to lose. But I guarantee that if you went there with an open mind, then you would experience the same experience that Collin and I have actually discovered ourselves. This has not only helped me with the overwhelming pain, but I feel that I have a purpose in life again. I've got more energy, more happiness, and I feel more relaxed and calm. So
one of the things I've also noticed is that a lot of men don't like to go see someone, or especially talk about their feelings. And the great thing about Terry is you don't have to tell her what's happened. You just go in there, you mention what it is you'd like to fix, without any details, and she can do that for you. So for all of you guys who think you're a bit too macho to get it done, and you'd much rather live with the pain, I'd strongly suggest go see Terry and remove the pain out of your life. It'll make your life a whole lot better.
Oh, as I was just saying, that I owe Terry my life. The pain, I couldn't imagine going on like this for year after year after year with the pain that I was feeling. And now I feel that I've got my life ahead of me, and I'm just feeling so much more happier. So Terry, we love you big time.
Yeah, thanks, Terry.
Thank you.